Thanks for tuning in to another episode of UC-RD Reviews. So today I have yet another P-Bandai exclusive. This one is the RGC-80 Guncannon version anime. The Guncannon's from Mobile Suit Variations, and this is the first time that we have a Guncannon figure. This one was released in 2017, so just a couple years ago, and I wanted to get it, but I wanted to find it for the right price. I ended up finding it for about 6,500 yen, which is what I think is fair. So on the box here you have the recreation of the old Mobile Suit Variation illustration for the Guncannon. A random little GM down there. This is some of the stuff it can do. And you have a nice little side profile of the GM there. So it looked like a good figure from the pictures. I really wanted it, and I finally found it where it wasn't an outrageous price. So let's take a look at it and see if it was worth the 6,500 yen I paid. So here's our Guncannon figure. The Guncannon was made as a support fire variant of the standard GM, and you'll notice some Guncannon aspects like in the legs. And it's all represented really well here in figure form. So the head has the two little rabbit ear antennas. It's a little bulkier than your standard GM head, and I'll do a comparison with the GM here in a little bit. You have the blue visor, the Vulcans, so everything looks good. Articulation is going to be very similar to the GM or the Gundam. You do have the slot here for the cannon, as well as the exhaust sitting right here. The chest is kind of weird. You do have a slight chest flex, but then the cockpit kind of comes out weird. I don't know if that's just my figure or if it's just made like that because of the chest flex, but that kind of makes for some awkward poses. These are the legs. You do have spring-loaded pieces here. And the feet move pretty well. You have hard points for effect parts. Same with the backpack there. And these are where the spare magazines go, which is kind of nice, and you have hard points on the sides as well. So overall it looks like it's supposed to. So let's make it into a proper Guncannon. So what we need here is this big piece. So this is the actual cannon. It's two pieces. So you have this piece here that moves. And no, I lied. It's four pieces. This barrel can come off, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Then you can actually remove the magazine from the rear of the cannon. And a lot of these Robot Spirits figures, especially these anime ones, they don't have removable magazines, which is kind of disappointing, but in this one, you do. Now, you take the figure, and the cannon just plugs right alongside the shoulder here, right like that. Now, with the cannon plugged in, the problem that you're going to run into is you limit the head movement considerably. It really can't go past that, unfortunately, no matter what orientation the cannon is in. So that's about as far this way as the GM can look. Now you can move his head a little bit more toward the cannon, but he's not really looking at anything. So that's, I think, my big complaint with the figure. I don't really know the workaround for that, given that the cannon is only supposed to go up and down, not side to side. I mean, it's kind of a hard design for a figure, which is probably why we never got one earlier in like the MSIA line. But this is it. In universe, the Guncannon was developed into 6 prototypes, I believe. And when they took off and functioned well, better than the prototype Guncannon, they ended up making 44 of them to take part in the North America campaign. The Guncannon was also seen in use in Jaburu, I believe, all the way into Zeta Gundam where they had what they called the redhead variants, which is a recolored GM cannon being used by the Earth Federation. So it's a neat mobile suit, and I'm glad we have it in a figure. And this one looks pretty good so far, so let's check out some of the accessories. So first thing here, you do get a decal sheet. And it actually comes with a lot of neat decals, North America campaign, and several other different types of emblems and numbers and things. So this is really neat to have. You do get the hand holder, of course, just like any other version anime. And let me just throw the hands out here. You do get some posing hands here. I believe these are going to be the gun hands, if I can actually get them out of here. There we go. So these are the gun hands. You have some more posing hands here. So some pretty standard stuff so far. These are going to be your beam saber hands, which are angled. And then you get one new one. So you get a pointing hand, which is replicating the picture here, which again is a remake of the original MSV illustration, which is kind of cool. One other interesting piece you get is actually a separate barrel for the GM Cannon's cannon. Now these barrels have a little notch. I don't know if you can see it just barely right here. And basically what you do, and they are compatible with firing effects, of course. You're going to remove that, and then the notch goes along this line that's right there. So we're going to line it up, and it just slides right on. And so that's the alternate barrel. And again, that goes back to this original picture. You can't see it because of the decal here, but it has this type barrel on it. And when you look at the GM Cannon and mangas and things, some of them have this standard barrel, some of them have this pointed barrel. So it just depends. You also get 2 spare magazines for the cannon. Now the spare magazines will plug into these very large hard points that are right here. They don't plug in perfectly, but they stay put well enough, and so they'll kind of sit like that. Now for the weaponry here, you do get the standard shield. So this is the exact same one that comes with the GM and the Gundam. It comes with the arm piece. So if I can grab my GM cannon here, it'll plug into the arm pretty easily. And it also comes with a regular handle that plugs in down here. Now you also get a beam spray gun, which again is the same gun that comes with the GM Sniper Custom, and a couple other figures. And you also get a storage piece for the shield. So it'll basically plug into here, and you can plug the gun into there. You get a black Hyper Bazooka, same one that comes with the Gundam, just recolored, with the movable handle and movable little piece back here. And you get a storage piece for it, which attaches to the Hyper Bazooka like that. The GM Cannon, if you just send those pieces flying, actually comes with a little hardpoint for the bazooka storage. Now the final piece here is an effect part, and it actually goes with the beam spray gun, and it is a firing effect, which is pretty cool. But this is one of the more generic effect part pieces that comes with lots of different Robot Spirits releases. So the GM Cannon, as I'm sure you can tell already right now, is very different from the standard GM figure. The head is a completely new sculpt with the antennas, which, by the way, you don't get replacement antennas for these, so be very, very careful with them. The chest is completely different, given that it has a big, massive cannon. The arms actually look the same, a little more detailed in the Guncannon, but then you get into the lower skirt armor and the legs, and they're completely different again. The backpacks here look kind of similar, but again, you know, you lose the beam saber rack with the cannon, and then you have this weapon over here, and the rear skirt armor is different as well. So almost an entirely new figure, which is really cool. And one thing I like about the Guncannon, and that I didn't really like about the GM, is you have this hole, this pinhole right there, that is completely blocked on this sculpt. Just about, you can kind of see it right there, but that's it. So it looks a little neater too. So the Guncannon is another Mobile Suit Variations Robot Spirits release that was done really well. The sculpt is exactly what it needs to be. I know the head movement part is kind of difficult given the placement of the cannon, but it comes with, you know, the bazooka, the beam spray gun, even the alternate cannon piece and spare magazines, which is kind of cool. And we even get an extra hand out of it as well. The only disappointing part of it, I think, is firstly the bazooka storage. I think they could have utilized the back of the backpack here, this plate, and done kind of an upright bazooka storage. I think that's a missed opportunity, and I know I said the same thing about the GM release. And then the effect parts. You know, we have this really cool shell firing cannon, and we don't have a single effect part for it, which is kind of disappointing. I know we got the beam spray guns effect part, but even something like maybe a bazooka firing effect or an explosion effect would have been kind of nice. But other than that, it's a good release. As long as you find it for a decent price, I think it's absolutely worth it. And I'm going to add it to my ever-growing collection of Mobile Suit Variations figures. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.